Hi, it's Andrea the Book Lady, also known as the Astro Tracker, and I have been talking lately about five different mistakes or really misunderstandings that people have about astrology. And the one I'm going to talk about today is that astrology is way more complicated than you have been uh, taught to believe. Astrology is not just about one thing being your quote unquote sun sign. When people say, "What's your sign?" And most people know the answer to that question. And then, if they make fun of it or not, and it's up to you, I don't really care. But bottom line is that astrology is not about one thing where the sun is in relation to the constellations. It's really about where all of the planets are, where a lot of asteroids are, where the moon is, and what are all the aspects or geometric configurations, and also in what constellational sign they reside. So, really, we have things that are called, we have a whole bunch of planets and asteroids. So, I don't know, you can have as many as you want, really. There's thousands of asteroids. I basically work with about 12 of them. Okay, more or less. I add what I need to look at if I need to investigate something more closely. And what we have is 12 different constellations, so 12 different so-called zodiac signs. And so those 12 planets that I work with, or 12 celestial bodies that I work with, they can be in any one of those signs. And then the configurations, geometric configurations between them tell me what planets get along and what planets don't get along. And when we have a couple planets that don't get along in a configuration, then something maybe not so great can happen. And or what I always call it, it's a correlation. It is not causation. It's a correlation that's based on what astronomers and astrologers and other people who've watched the heavens forever have been noticing for thousands of years. And in addition to the fact that, I can do it with somebody's own personal life. So I can, look at your chart and tell, when are you going to move? When are you going to get a new job? There's certain planets in certain places in the configuration that let me know when those things are going to happen. And it's typically I'm looking at it based on history. So so that's what I do. So I'll just show you as an example where the planets are today. So you can see a configuration here on my screen of where the planets are today. I'm going to move this out of the way. And you can see they're all kind of squished up in one area of this zodiac. This is the zodiacal circle or the natal chart. This would be if somebody was born at this moment in time, this would be what we would call their birth chart. And a birth chart to me is like a bingo card. So when we uh, when I look at that bingo card, I'm looking at because that bingo card is your birth chart. It is the where the planets and the asteroids were in the heavens at the minute that you were born. Nobody else has that but you, unless they were born in the room next to you at the exact same time. So nobody else has that. It's unique. It's your bingo card. Then I look at where the planets are in the heavens now, and I connect those things with your chart, and if something upstairs connects with something on your chart, we have bingo. Ooh, and something happens. And I can tell based on what planet is involved, what kind of thing is going to happen. And also from looking at your past patterns and cycles, because planets go around every so many years. So Uranus does 84 years, and Neptune does 165 years. And we know the moon does about, once a month, a little bit less than a month, right? And the sun we know goes all the way around in a year. So we look at, Mars is every 2.5 years. So I look at those cycles. I know that 2.5 year cycle for me, it used to mean fender benders, right? So I know that. But not now, but it's still something will happen and it will probably hit my pocketbook is what usually happens. But a lot of times it can also be about getting a new job. That's Mars cycles. Mars cycles, Jupiter cycles bring release. They sometimes get people divorced. Jupiter cycles bring opportunity. Saturn cycles bring marriage. Uh, Also, getting a confirmed job, something that binds you to something. That's a Saturn cycle. And they happen like about every 28 years, 28 to 30 years. And so, I know those cycles, I can go back and say to you, okay, so what happened when you were, 28? And you can tell me, well, I moved or I got a new job. And then I can, whatever it is, I can figure out, or you could say, I got pregnant or I, um, I fell down and broke my hip, whatever, you can tell me that. And then I can go back and I can say, okay, so we're repeating this cycle right now for you if you're 60, repeating this cycle for you right now. So you're going to get another job, or you may have some other kind of physical ailment that needs to be taken care of. So basically looking at history, and I'm predicting based on that. Let me just come back to that chart again. I just want to pick a different configuration here for you to look at, so that you can see both me and the chart. So anyway, here's the chart. And like I said, these things are all, right now, everything is glommed up here. Um, these lines in here tell me whether things are getting along or whether they're not getting along. So you can see right now, here's the moon. It looks like the moon. Yep, the moon is not getting along with Uranus, and Uranus is the unexpected. So this could be unexpected emotional stuff that's happening that might not be too pleasant right now. We've had all this Aries stuff in here, including Mars, and Mars is the ruler of Aries. Mars is connected to Aries. Mars, Martian, remember all that? Mars, Martian, that's where we get that. Mars is action. And Aries is quick, 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 impulsive, independent, first person out, uh, moving into uncharted territory. What do we just have? We just had 4 astronauts go technically into uncharted territory. There's nothing more Aryan than us having done that. And we had 7 planets in Aries at that point. So that's very Aryan that happened. So astrologers already knew this kind of stuff was going to happen. I mean, we were already saying, okay, look out for war, look out for this. I mean, a couple reasons why there's war, but the bigger one was Uranus, where it is just about to go into Gemini. United States always goes into war every 84 years whenever Uranus goes into Gemini. And it's just a precursor to Gemini. So here's a Gemini. It looks like a little 2, Roman numeral 2. So that's that. Anyway, so what I'm trying to tell you is that astrology is much more complex than knowing what your sun sign, because here's the sun, just all by itself. Here it is. Look at all these other things that we can look at, and I didn't even put half of what I could put in here. I just put a few things. It's mostly the things that I mostly work with. Now, let's also know that these different, I call this the pie. This is the astrological pie. And I look at where all the nuts are. The planets are the nuts. So I look at where all the nuts are. Where all the nuts are is where all the action is happening, right? It's where all the stuff is happening. If this were your birth chart, I feel for the kids who are born right now. I don't feel for the kids. I feel for the parents because this is going to be a very ADHD kid. I mean, yes, a whole generation of them. It depends. These planets are going to move. So some of them are going to move. So, move tomorrow. But anyway, they're going to be go-getters. They'll be trying out things they never tried before, risk takers, have amazing new ideas. Will they be able to put them into action? They're going to have to hire a Taurus to do that, and the sun isn't Taurus, so they'll have to hire a Taurus to put their ideas into action. But the bottom line is there's a lot of stuff here to look at. Now, each one of these little pieces of pie here is a different part of your life. So this is you, and this is money, and this is communication, this is your home, and this is your kids, and this is where you work, and this is your relationship. I would say this stuff under this line, here's a horizon, like the equator. This is the horizon. Underneath is the you, and up above is the not you. So if this is you, over here is the not you, which would be your partners, your significant other, anyone who you get married to. In some cases, it's someone who you're most connected to. So I'm not married, and in recent years, I had a lot of activity here, and the activity was that my partner was my mother. My mother was my partner, so that I could read what was going to go on with me and my mom by looking at what was in this particular area at that time. And of course, this is not my chart, so it's not showing, you know, what what I would have looked at, because this is now, this is right now. So anyway, so here's your relationships, here's where you get your money, here's, the large groups that we get involved in, like church and or government, organizational groups, and our ideas, our greater ideas. Here's our work area, here's our friends area, here's what we are working on based on the past, here's what we're working on based on now, here's what we're working on based on the past. So the point that I'm trying to make is here, we're not just looking at a sun sign. If I know your sun sign, I don't know anything except just a basic group of generalized um, concepts that are supposedly connected to Taurus. And it also just tells me what time of year you were born. It doesn't tell me anything else. What tells me about who you are and what puts all of that into context is the time you were born. So one of the understandings is that astrology is based on your date of birth. It's really based on the time of your birth. So this being what time it is, it's 2:33 p.m. in Oklahoma City right now. This for a person. What we know is if this is a person, this person is a Taurus, born in Taurus, so born in the springtime with Leo rising, and knowing that they are Leo makes me know that they will probably be pretty showy and they'll be a look at me person. I got strong Leo myself. I'm not a Leo, but I have strong Leo myself. You can tell I'm a look at me person. I have Gemini, which means I like to talk, and that means I don't shut up. I have Gemini here. But anyway, so if you know somebody's rising sign, this is called rising sign on the horizon, that they're a Leo, it's the most important place, then I know that down here, I know they spend money like a Virgo. And I know they communicate like a Libra. And I know that their home life is like a Scorpio, very important to that person. And I know that, and I know that their creative projects and their kids are going to be very Sagittarian like, which is like people of the world type stuff. And, so if I know what sign is in the first house, since the zodiac signs never go out of order. They never go out of order. They don't jump all around. The constellational belt doesn't jump all around. It stays the same. It's always Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, and so forth. So if we know that they always stay in order, and we know that your rising sign is rising sign, because that's where the sun was rising on the ecliptic at the time you were born, if we know that your first house is Leo, then we know your second house is going to be Virgo, because that comes after Leo, and so forth. And so basically, that's what I'm looking at. So what I know is not only how many things do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 things here, 19 things. So I know 19 things about you, but now I know where all of those 19 things are placed in your life. So I know that emotionally, how you are and what you show yourself to be in the world, you're probably, as this Leo person, it's right at the horizon here. Oh, you'll wear your heart on your sleeve. This person will wear their heart on their sleeve. Okay. And we also know this person will be a leader in the area in which they work, because that's what Aries is. Aries is a leader, it's a director. Aries is a director. And what do we also know? That they've got Aries and Taurus up here. So there be going to be a combination of traditional beliefs and new beliefs. And the new beliefs that they have are going to cause them consternation. They're going to be, they'll have new beliefs and they'll be like, oh man, I don't know, because I've always been taught to believe this, but over here, this idea sounds good, but I've always been taught to believe this. So there's going to be some issues here having to do with conflict of belief. What also do we know? Once they get a job as a director, a leader, whatever, um, the tourist part wants to stick with it, but Uranus says, "Oh no, we're going to we're going to cause some upheaval in that. So just when you think you're steady, we're going to take it away from you." So here's the other thing. So that's another interesting thing that I have always found about astrology. When you have someone who we know is a Taurus, so we know they're considered steady, and Leo is steady too. These are fixed signs. They don't like change. Okay. They're leader people. This is a leader person, and this is someone who responsible, reliable, practical person. And yet what we see is that they're going to get a job and that's going to be upended. And so they're going to get a job and they're going to feel stable and then it's going to get upended. So I always ask, why would someone come in with a life experience like that? Why would they come in with that? And typically the answer is so they can learn to let go. Typically the answer is so they can actually realize that life is life is ephemeral, life is changeable. You can't hold on to things forever. You need to let go of things sometimes. So this is a person who may come in as a fixed person. Really, they're a leader. Yeah, they are a fixed person. A fixed person who needs to learn how to let go. That's what this will be. And so sometimes this might be a person who gets a job, becomes the leader of a company or a leader in some way, and then all of a sudden gets the rug pulled out from under them. Oh, yeah, it's connecting back to Pluto too. So Pluto cuts things off. So, yeah. So that means, oops, just thought you were steady, and now you're going to get the whole rug pulled out from under you. And so, guess what? So when you know that, then if you know that you're already going to have some things that are happening that will upend you, it can make you more resilient. I mean, that's the reason for it to happen anyway, it's to make you more resilient, to know and to come into life understanding that things are going to change. And because I come from depression era parents, love you, mom and dad, that they say, be prepared. And so I, as an astrologer, am seconding that and saying, just like my mom and dad, be prepared. So in this case, or whoever this is, be prepared. The rug will get pulled out from under you. Just when you feel like you're at the top and you're secure, you can expect to fall because we all do. But you'll be able, we'll be able to tell when. That's another thing. We'll be able to tell when. So when some planet on the outside here hits this, then I'll be able to tell when it's going to happen. And so then you'll be ready because then you will have a whole bunch of money saved up and you'll have, uh, you'll make sure that you're in a really secure place or you'll have a second place that you can go to so that when it does happen, you're ready for it. That's the idea here. It's the idea. So, FYI, I just wanted to say this is what astrology is really about. It is about helping you be prepared. And it's much more than people think it is. It is not just one sun sign, it is about many things in many different contexts. And then how what's going on in the heavens now affects what we came in with. But basically, this is your life story, and I can decode it. I can decode your life story as God wrote it in the stars. And I feel so blessed to be able to do that. So I'm happy to do it for you. So, anyway, book lady at astrotracker.com. You can go to astrotracker.com and see some videos there. And I hope that this was informative to you about the misunderstandings that are out there about astrology. Love you guys. Bye.